everyone, welcome back to GameVine, and my name is David, and today we're going to continue to talk about Dice Masters, one of my favorite games of all time. And this is the third set to come to the Dice Master world, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Masters. Now, this doesn't change any of the rules when it comes to the ability on the cards, though it does tweak them a little bit. It adds different kind of monsters and terminology, though the biggest change that comes with this set is collectability. Now the dice have special numbers on them, and they're associated to specific cards. So disclaimer, this gravity feed box I got for free from a store. I didn't actually purchase all the dice with inside. I say that because my collection is fairly small, though you will get a good flavor of how it plays out with the cards and dice that I've gathered so far. I just wanted to put that out there because you'll see later on in the video why my collection is small. So without further ado, let me show you the contents that I've gathered in this set and show you how this Dice Master set adds to the universe. Let's go. Alright, I did fail to mention that if you don't know how to play this game, I have a video on the channel that you can go check out and learn how to play. So, now let's go into the contents. I'm showing you right now what you get in the starter pack. You get the Blue Eyes White Dragon, the Red Eyes Black Dragon, the Dark Magician, Kuriboh, all the essentials that you need to get your nostalgic flavor from Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you can go out and start to buy the gravity feeds. So now that you've seen that, I'm going to go over some of the cards, and I'm doing it a little different. I know the glare might be bad, so I'll pick this up and we'll go over the cards and I'll pull them out, but this is really a pain to take these out of the sleeves and go over them. So let's start with the first few cards that I have. So the basic action card you have to start off here is the Mystic Box, and of course the Magic Reborn. What set would be complete without it? And then the Crush Card Virus, the Spellbinding Circle, and then you have the Horn of the Unicorn, the Swords of Repelling Lights, that is very nostalgic, Change of Heart, and then you have Waboku and Mirror Wall, Mirror Force, and those are basically all the actions that you have, and you've seen them in the starter set. Let me go over a few and how they work right now. And I'll go over the ones that I like. Of course, we'll start with Magic Reborn. This, if I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Master set, I'm going to be putting this basic action card into play. Monster Reborn, roll a monster from your use pile. If it rolls a monster face, summon it at no cost. Otherwise, place it in your bag. So that is a really useful card. I like that one. So the next card that we're going to go over is the Crush Card Virus, and this introduced the terminology of monster. Now, this kind of interferes with the last few sets and their affiliations, but we'll go over that a little later in the video. This one here is knock out one of your opponent's monsters, well, one of your monsters in the field to knock out one of your opponent's monsters of one higher level or the same level. Horn of the Unicorn, two of your monsters get +1 attack and defense, and has a burst attack and also has a global. And Mirror Wall, place this dice in the opposing monster. That monster has half of its normal attack and defense, round it down. Return this dice to the use pile when your monster is knocked out. So it has some pretty interesting basic cards. I'll let you discover the other ones when you buy this set, if you buy this set. But now let's go over some of the monsters, and I'll start to pull out some of their dice. Of course, the color palette that they went on the basic cards is, I actually like this one: green, gold, red, and blue. Let's go over those monsters right now. So we'll start off big. We'll pull out some of the God cards that they've had, and now I get to show off the dice and the art a little more. You've seen the art on the basic action cards. They are pulling this art from the cartoon, which I think is a bad decision. These two God cards I have here, Obelisk, the Tormentor, and Slifer, the Sky Dragon. Now, they look cool, but I think the card art from the actual trading card game or the collectible card game would have been a much better choice, but that's just me. So now let's go over what the dice actually have on them, because like I said, they all have this tiny little number on them, and this is going to associate with that specific card. So like in the past editions, the commons and the uncommons and the rares and the super rare, the dice, you could use those for the other cards. It doesn't matter which card that you used, as long as it was the same hero, you could use that. Now this changes in this game. Now it only changes for tournament play. I wouldn't get on somebody too much for using the same dice for the same hero if it has a different number. But each, like this rare one here is, what is it? It's 101, and this dice right here, of course, has it on the energy side. Now, it doesn't really impair it too much, though. I think it kind of funks it up. I really don't like it. I'm getting ahead of myself. So that is how the dice associate with the collectability in this set, and the art is drawn from the cartoon, which is whatever. Again, their dice are pretty cool. His is a 9/9 at his final level and a 3 to bring out. If a monster is blocked but is not knocked out, it deals damage equal to its attack to your opponent, which is pretty cool. And the Sky Dragon here just has a global. Pay 1 electric energy to deal damage to a target creature. But he is a 10/8, which is huge. We have not seen a 10 come out of a set until the Yu-Gi-Oh set here, which is interesting, and we're going to see a lot of new things coming out of this set as we go on. So the next few monsters that we have Legend the Genie, and I have all of his ones here, but I'll pull out 1 or 2 to show you. And his is a 2 to bring out and a 5/5 on his final match here. And this one says, when summoned, knock out up to 2 opposing sidekicks, and the burst is knockout, and your opponent loses life as well. This one here, whenever you summon a punch monster, you spin all copies of this monster up 1 level, so you can really put a lot of these gen out, and he isn't that expensive, and his dice are pretty cool. I like his dice. They're green, which are neat in my book. And the next one we have up is the Harpy Lady, just one of the Harpy Ladies, and this one says, when summoned, you may spin a sidekick die in your ready area to its sidekick character face, so you can get another character that way. And the next one we have here is, if one of your sidekick attacks, either its monster gets +1 attack and +1 defense. So she likes helping out the sidekicks, and she is a cheap one, and her final is a 3/4 with 2 to bring out, and her dice are really cool. They're translucent. I like that, as long as you're able to read them. And this one has blue ink, and I can clearly read that. I don't know about you. So the next one we have here is a trap card. First trap card that we have in the game. It associates kind of like an equipment or a kind of a pseudo monster, but this one is Trap Hole, and it's pretty cheap to bring out. These are the dice for it, and again, it's kind of like a weapon, so it has a character face, and that's when it will go off when it rolls a character face. And this one says, knock out a level 1 monster with a cost of 5 or less, and it continues just to kind of take out monsters as it goes down. This one is Shallow, knock out all sidekicks, which is pretty cool, because I know a lot of players like to do that, and I'm kind of fond of the Trap Hole. It's pretty cool. Determine the lowest attack value of a non-sidekick monster. Knock out all monsters, both including the sidekick, if you have it that way, with that attack value. So that is something different. I've not seen that happen, and that's really cool, and it can just put your opponent's characters into a sinkhole. And again, these are the dice. They're okay. I mean, they're brown and white. And next up, we have a bunch of dragons. So the first one is Curse Dragon. He's a pretty cheap one, and he is a 6/5 on his final level to bring out. He has 2 energy to do so, and his ability is, when this monster damages an opponent, return it to the bag instead of the use pile. So that could be useful, and it's kind of the same pattern. Let's check out his rare one. It has a lot of text on it. Even if this is not active, whenever you summon a die with dragon in its title, you may roll all copies of this dice from your use pile. If you roll a monster face, summon it for free. Otherwise, return it to the use pile. I mean, wow. And even if he's not active, you can make a strong dragon deck if you have this rare Curse of the Dragon. And his dice are cool. They're translucent, kind of hard to read, but the next one you get in the starter set, and the next 2 you actually do, and that's Red Eyes Black Dragon. And I like his dice. They're pearlescent. You can't really pick that up on the camera, but they're really nice. And he is a 7/7 on his final, and it is 3 to bring out. When this monster attacks, knock out all sidekicks. This monster gets +2 attack for each sidekick knocked out this way. So they are really chomping at the bit to take out those sidekick players that really stack their deck with all those weenie characters, and this can do a overwhelming amount of damage if he pulls this attack off right. And there are another few other Red Eyes Black Dragons that I'm not going to go over, but let's go to Blue Eyes White Dragon, and his dice are really cool as well, and he's just a bit stronger than the Red Eyes, being a 8-7 on his final, but still a 3 to bring out. But he has asterisks on his dice that do some pretty cool stuff. Like this one is just asterisks, though he is pretty expensive to bring out. When this monster attacks, your opponent knocks out one of his or her monsters. If he rolls the asterisks on that, I mean, every one of them has an asterisk on it. And the double one here is when this monster attacks, your opponent loses life equal to the level of his or her highest level monster. So Blue Eyes White Dragon, you know he's going to be strong, so they did that. And the next few characters that we're going to go over: Summon Skull. I've always been fond of Summon Skull. I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Too much, but I did get into it when it first started, and he was one of my favorite characters. And his dice are pretty cool. He is a 6-4 on his final level, which is pretty thematic because he is just a overpowered cheap character, but here he is pretty expensive in this game. Though it's only 2 to bring out. His abilities are this Intense Lightning says, while this monster is active, whenever an opponent summons a level 3 monster, deal 2 damage to that opponent. So he's kind of like just dealing damage off to the side while being pretty powerful within himself. And the dice are, like I said, pretty cool. The next one we have up are the Harpy Lady sisters. We went over the one Harpy Lady, and now we have her. Now these are the dice for them, and they're pretty cool, though I did notice there are a lot of blue dice in this set. So they're relatively cheap. I mean, 5 isn't great, but this one here is a 7-6 on its final level and 3 to bring out. If this monster is blocked by only one monster, it deals 2 damage to its opponent. So it makes sense because the other 2 are going after the opponent. Let's go over one more. The rare one is pretty cool. When this monster is attacking after blockers are assigned, deal 1 damage to your opponent for each opposing monster that does not block. So it's pretty much the same thing. They are attacking as a team. The next one we have here is the Mystical Elf. Again, another blue dice, but it's a different blue. I like this one here. Her final level isn't crazy strong, but she has a high defense, which makes sense. 3-7 and only a 1 to bring out, which I love, though she is pretty expensive for being the cheapest. This one here, when this monster is knocked out, gain 2 life and move a die from your use pile to your prep area, excluding this one. And this one has also a global, so she is a healer. Again, thematic and makes sense. The next few monsters that we're going to have, don't pay attention to the Dark Magician girl over here. These are kind of my armored people. So Jinzo is a really cool character. I did play him in my deck when I used to play, and his dice are extremely cool. I like the translucent dice, and this is green, again, a winner for me, and I like the yellow, very vibrant. And he is a strong character, a 7-5 on his final level, and only 2 to bring out, though I don't have his rare card, and that is the one a lot of people like. I can't remember what it does, though. I think it has something to do with sidekicks. This one here is when summoned, discard 1 action dice from either player's field or from the ready area. So he's kind of just keeping people from doing stuff, which, yes, that's what Jinzo would do. Oh, this is a rare one. I'm sorry. I can't believe I have it. I forgot I had this one. While this monster is active, your opponent must pay 2 lives to use an action dice or a global ability. So he is after the action dice. That's what it is. That's right. So he is a relatively strong character, though pretty expensive to bring out, though he does mess with a player that has a lot of action abilities. So you can build towards that. The next one we have here is Lord of D, Lord of Dragons, and he is a cheap one. Again, this has a lot of potential to build a strong dragon deck. His cheap one here has no ability. It's just a 5-5 on his final level and only 1 to bring out. Again, blue dice, and they're easy to read, though, so I like that. Though, let's go to the dragon abilities. This 4-1 here, while this monster is active, it cannot be targeted by the opposing action dice or abilities. Your opponent with dragons in the name cannot be targeted by opposing action dice or abilities as well. So that protects your dragons. This one right here beefs them up. While this monster is active, damage to the shield monsters or punch or lightning monsters is reduced by 2, and a lot of the dragons have those symbols. So that is the Lord of D. The next one that we have is the Doom's Caliber Knight, and I don't like this art. There's a lot of art in here that's bad, but this is probably the worst one, though his dice are pretty cool and vibrant and look very mischievous, and he is a 6/6 on his final level and only 2 to bring out, so which isn't too bad. When your opponent uses an action dice, you must cancel the effect and knock out this monster. So a lot of the cards that I've been going over recently have to do with an action dice, and that is pretty heavy in this set. So the next monsters we have are the actual Dark Magicians. And yes, I'm a sucker for the Dark Magicians. I've played them quite a bit in my decks, and I am in love with the girls' dice. I like the white palette in the back, and the pink really pops out. And she's pretty strong, being a 5/7 is her final level here, and she isn't too expensive. Her abilities are pretty cool as well. At the start of the attack step, this monster gets +2 attack if you have any monsters in the use pile, so she can get stronger, and you can have a lot of weenies in the use pile to make her even stronger as well. At the start of the attack step, this monster gets +1 attack for each monster in the use pile. Again, like I said, weenies in your use pile, do that for this character. The last one here, I'm going to go over all of them because I like the Magicians. If this monster does not block, when you assign combat damage, this monster may deal its attack value to the damage of the attacking monster, so it can knock out a big character. Again, she's pretty powerful. 5 isn't too shabby, and again, her dice are great. The next Magician we have is the guy, and he's just called Dark Magician, and his dice are kind of hard to read, though they are cool, but they look like a unicorn to me. And the art is so-so, again, from the cartoon, and he is a 7/7 though on his final level. While active at the beginning of each turn, lose 1 life and draw 1 extra dice. So he's hurting you, but he's allowing you to draw a lot of dice. When summoned, you may pay 2 life to draw and roll 2 dice. So that reminds me of like the Warlock in Hearthstone. The last one we have here is the Celtic Guardian, another one of Yu-Gi-Oh's favorite in the cartoon, and his dice are okay. It's kind of a lime color paint and a deep green. So his final level isn't too strong. It's a 3/5, but it's only 1 to bring out, and he's relatively cheap. When this monster attacks alone, it gets +2 defense, and there's an asterisk that allows it to get even more defense. This one here, even more defense. If none of your other monsters block, this monster gets 4 defense. So yes, the next monster we have here, we have the Flame Swordsman, and he is pretty strong. He is a 6/6, but a 3 to bring out, and I think that's kind of pricey, though he has some pretty cool abilities. When summoned, this monster gets +2 attack till the end of turn, so he can come out pretty strong. And let's go over the rare one. When summoned, your attacking monsters get +1 attack and +1 defense till the end of the turn, which is pretty cool. Normally that would just associate with sidekicks in the other 2 sets. And his dice are pretty cool. They're pearlescent, and I love the orange they went with, and the blue is very vibrant, and you can easily read it. The next one we have here is the Fierce Knight. Now his dice are really hard to read on the card, but they're easier to read on the dice. His final level is it's so hard to see, a 7/6 with a 2 to bring out. If this monster damages the opponent, it deals the equal amount of damage to one of the target monsters, so it kind of does some backlash, and I like that, though again, his dice are really hard to read. Alright, the next one we have up is the Cute Kuriboh, and his dice are cool. He really is cannon fodder, and that is true to say in this game as well. He is only a 2/4, but only a 1 to bring out, and cheap and free otherwise. When this monster gets knocked out, knock out an opposing sidekick. So he's going to try to take out those sidekicks, and you can keep spawning him because he's so cheap. This one has an asterisk during your attack phase. If this monster is assigned enough damage to knock it out, your non-Kuriboh monsters do not get knocked out this turn. So that is very thematic with the show, and again, I can appreciate that. The next one here, we have the Fairy Nurse, and she is very cheap. She is a 4/4 on her final level, and it's a cool dice. It's, you know, standard red and white. Then we have the Shield, the Ring. So play on a monster, it's an equipment. All opposing sidekicks must attack while this monster is active. So its dice are okay. I kind of like the green's kind of like a nuclear green. It's really neat. And again, it's just an equipment. This one's even cheaper. Play on a monster, your opponent action dice and ability can only target that monster, so you can use it as cannon fodder. Again, you can use this on Kuriboh and help yourself out keeping your big monsters out there. So there's a lot of cool combos you can do. There's not much more to go over. Let's go over them right now. So we're going to power through these last 2 pages. Again, I don't have a lot more after this. You have the goblins. They are a 7/1 to bring out, and that is very thematic. They don't have a lot of defense. You just get them out there and really attack. This monster must attack if it has to. If a level 2 or higher monster damages you, knock this monster out. So he just wants to go in there and attack really hard, and his dice are very kind of Green Goblin-esque. And the next one we have here is Marshmelon, and I love these dice. Pink dice are always a good way to go, and you can read them very easy. And he again is a 2/4 on his final level. This monster is knocked out while blocking. You may pay 1 life to return it to the field, so that is a cool one. And then you have the Millennium Puzzle. Of course, you need the Millennium Puzzle. This one is an equipment. When rolled, move this to the field. It does not go to your use pile until used. You may discard this dice to send one of your opposing monsters to the use pile. And the dice is really cool as well. Has a little Millennium Puzzle on it, which is neat. And then we have Baby Dragon. Oh, the Baby Dragon. And he doesn't have any ability. He is a 4/3 on his final level, though he's cheap, and his dice are easy to read. Then we have Thousand Dragon. That's the adult version of this dragon, and it's the rare one. I wish I had the super rare one. This has Fusion on it. Now, this is one of the few things that it does add to the game. And Fusion is basically just a kind of a play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself. Basically, you can take 2 of these symbols here, and you can see that on the Baby Dragon, and a lot of other cards have them as well. And you can discard them and put them to the use pile to take this one off the card and move it to the actual field, which is really cool, and I like that, and I'm glad they put that in the game. That is really the major thing that they've added when it comes to abilities. Then we have the Man-Eater Bug, and his dice are really hard to read. He's a 5/4, has no ability, but that looks like a goblin to me. Then we'll go on to the Buster Blader, and that is a really cool name. His dice are really cool. I love the ink and purple. He is a 6/8 to bring out, and I'm not going to go over his text. Then we have Black Luster Soldier, and his dice are really cool, pearlescent blue, yellow background. And then we have the final thing here, which is what I have left in my collection, and this is the first time that you see a 1 introduced into Dice Masters, which I love. I like that. He's not really too strong, but 4/3 for 1, yeah, I'll pay that. But let's go into the Breaker of Magical Warriors. He is a 4/4, and he has stuff on text that you can go over when you actually get him, but his dice kind of look like the Triforce almost to me, which is pretty cool. But the one I was talking about is Morphine Jar, and the dice are blah. I mean, they're just gray and yellow, but again, this is a 1 character that has a 4/3. Yes, I'm putting him in my deck every time I play any kind of Yu-Gi-Oh set. There is one with text, but we'll go over, why not? When summoned, your opponent rolls a dice from his prep area. If he rolls a monster face, return it to the prep area. Otherwise, put it in the use pile. So there's that, and some kind of repercussions of having him. The last one I have here is the Time Wizard. I really like his dice. They're pretty cool, and he has text on them, but I'm not going to go over them because this video is running a little too long, especially for the Yu-Gi-Oh set. And one other thing that I wanted to hit on before I actually get into the overview of the video is, does this game actually hit on the theme of Yu-Gi-Oh? Now, I have enough reference to tell you if you believe in the heart of the cards enough, you can bring the theme out in this game. but there isn't fusion in the traditional sense when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because specific monsters in the game, card game, have to go together to get a specific combo monster. Now in this one, you just have to have the affiliation or the symbol, and then you can fuse two monsters. But that didn't really show up too much for me, but I know there are a lot of other cards out there that do that. And they don't have actual bracelets that show holographic monsters, but I know that's sci-fi, unrealistic thinking, but you know, a boy could dream. But again, the theme is so in this. You do have some things that are in common with the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, but I think in later expansions they're going to add even more theme. But right now, it's not that I want this theme to be thick, but it's there if you want it. And as we always do, let's give this game a grade and tell you what I think. And this might be a good one, this might be a dud, this might just change my opinion on Dice Master as a whole. I hope it doesn't, or at least it does for the good and not the bad, because I really like this game. Let's go. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Masters, and like I said before, I was there for the conception of Yu-Gi-Oh! In itself, and I stayed with the card game and the cartoon for about a year and a half, though it did fizzle out with me, because that's what collectible card games do if they don't really hit at home. And/or I played a few tournaments and I lost a bunch, and they were cycling a lot of cards. I was just bad at it, though it was entertaining for the time that I was there. I tell you this because I want you to know when I give the grade, it's going to be a little lower than the other sets, that I have an educated opinion on this. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Masters only gets an 81 for me, which is a B-, and that is kind of a surprise because the other sets got 95, 98. I mean, this game is one of my favorite games of all time. But they made a lot of bad decisions when it came to this set. Now there are some diamonds in the rough. There are a few cards that I absolutely like the Morphing Jar that's only one cost, and some of the basic cards that allow you to respawn monsters and or heroes. Those are really cool, but the art direction was poorly done. I mean, if you're gonna do some of the cartoon art, pick better positions. A lot of the positions that they pick for these monsters are very kind of weird and offset and dark and just not what I think of when I see Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's very close up. So instead of going the collectible card game route and putting that art on the cards, or at least some kind of rendition of that, they went with the cartoon art, which they did very poorly. And that was one of the things that kept this grade down for me. The other thing that kept it down for me was the collectability of the dice. They added this little tiny number onto these dice here, and now if I play tournament, and I'm not going to be play tournament of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever, I have to bring these certain dice for the certain card, which completely takes out the excitement for me when I'm opening up the pack of, like, you know, Marvel or other Dice Master packs, and I go, oh, I've got this card already. But yes, I get the dice, and now I have 4 dice for this character, and I can use them in my deck. This one, I have to get this character a whole bunch of times and get 4 dice that way, which is another terrible decision on their part. It really took this game and upped the collectability, which didn't need to be done. The collectability is fun and it's there, and I mean, I don't know. That's me saying it. So take that with a grain of salt. But those are the 2 of the main things that really brought this game down for me. But I like the color of the dice. The dice came out really well, though there are a lot of blues in here. And I do like some of the abilities, and this is Dice Master. So if you have to pick a set and you don't like any comic books or anything like that, you want to go with Yu-Gi-Oh!, by all means, go out and get the set and you'll have fun with it, because in my house you can have different numbered dice for different characters as long as it's the same one. I don't care. And beyond that, it does have the flavor of Dice Masters. It has a lot of the abilities that have happened in the past with the sidekicks, and I mean, it's all there. It's just masked in this film of kind of gross Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. So 81 is kind of higher than I thought it would get, though I went down and I basically scored it like I would any other game, and it's Dice Masters. All in all, it's Dice Masters, and don't expect me to go out and get more of this set. I've gotten enough so I can play it with somebody if they like Yu-Gi-Oh! Though
it's not something that I'm going to jump through hoops to try to get. I would rather get more of the other sets. So that's basically it. So if you have a friend who likes Yu-Gi-Oh! And you like Dice Masters and you can't play a game together, I would recommend this highly, because this could get them into the world of Dice Masters and allow them to really latch onto something that they like as well. So thank you so much for joining me in today's review of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Masters. I hope it was informational. I hope this helps out people from going out and buying a lot of this set. Though, again, it is a good one, just not my favorite. And I've been Dave. Until the next time that I see you, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. You heard it here on the Game Vine. We're out. Ooh, colors. Oh, come on, colors. Boom! I got 'em.
It's time to
The next dice that we have are the Marshmelon, which is awesome. I love these dice. Pink dice are always a good way to go, and you can eat them.